Cleveland Launcher XLs today. On the course, giving them a test. Let's see what they're all about. So these are going to be friendly clubs. If we just take a look at them down by the board, I've got a 7, 5 and a 9. So we're seeing kind of medium top lines on these, so they're not crazy top lines chunky, and we're certainly not getting crazy soles on these as well. Like we are getting, bearing in mind these clubs, they're really claiming the MOI on them is really high, like a pretty good looking iron. It's quite a long blade length, which is something I'm not a massive fan of in looks, but it certainly makes you look like you've got lots of face down there. But we're getting not the craziest of thick lines. So we're really now bridging into like this gap between trying to give you masses of MOI while at the same time delivering a look that some golfers might look at and feel like, you know, wow, that looks decent. Because you've got to remember they've got the Halo launcher, the big hybrid one. I've done a review of it as well, which takes it to the other extreme. But I mean, that's a pretty decent looking iron. The other thing as well that some of you might like, I see people on social mention this, they got the lofts written on the bottoms. And yes, they're strong. 9 iron, 38, 7 iron, 29, and then a 5 iron, 23. But I mean, strong or not anymore is starting to blur really, because what is the norm? Pitching wedge here 43 degrees. It's quite a lot of face down by the ball. Again, I think that's good for confidence inspiring. Gives them room to move the tech around and, you know, put whatever they're doing in there to get the MOI up, which we'll talk about the tech, you know, gives them more space. But again, it's quite a player looking iron. Nice. So about 180 into the wind, I'm going to hit a nice little medium 6 iron. And to be fair, the 6 iron is relatively slender. Again, we see the longer blade length, which I'm not a massive fan of looks. I'd get used to it pretty quick, but certainly is going to inspire a lot of face, like I say, down by the ball. There's no club out the back because it is, again, the sole isn't massively chunky. See what it feels like then compared to that little 9 on the first. Like, they feel solid, like really quite solid. I think we better go and let's look at the tech, because these are surprising me. I was expecting much more like game improvement chunkiness, and I'm actually getting decent looking, nice feeling. So the new XL head, Cleveland is saying, has a new design with a higher MOI. So it's the most MOI in a Cleveland game improvement iron they've ever done. It's got the mainframe face designed with artificial intelligence. The face is variable face technology, increasing ball speeds, while unique weight pads design ensures maximum forgiveness and ball speeds across the face. It's got the Action Mass CB, so an 8 gram weight placed inside the end of the grip. So we're talking counterbalancing basically. We've got the V-shaped sole. An elevated leading edge glides through the turf with far less drag with a typical flat sole to maintain speed and power and heavy strikes. So the V-shaped sole has been in Strixon and Cleveland irons now for a while. Loft specific grooves. So the 4 to 7 iron has wider, flatter grooves, while the 8 down to the wedges have closely spaced. So they're going to try and control the friction, the spin from the higher lofted clubs down to the lower lofted clubs where you want to really maintain that spin. And Cleveland's kind of roundup, they're saying that the XL irons, the Launcher XL irons, are for players who are seeking forgiveness and accuracy in a complete iron set. So they're really trying to combine forgiveness, but they're giving you ideas of accuracy, obviously through their design, but through the looks of those clubs also. So it's an interesting combination between what they're calling their high MOI tech and still some looks that are very, very appealing, I would say, to a wide bracket of golfers. So hitting the 5 iron, there's some offset on these as well, but it's not massive, it's certainly not intrusive. And I'll be honest with you, they just feel like really solid. Like these are totally throwing me. Like, that feels very, very nice. It's not a massive kind of game improvement, kind of tingy, horrible sound. It's a solid, firm, I call it medium, so not like your softest, but nowhere near the tingy loud stuff. So we're going to hit the 9 iron next. Again, similar in obviously its looks, it's nice. Down by the ball, we get the nice little white line down at the bottom, which I like. It's a very rounded shape. Again, we get offset, but there's nothing massive. Like, the offset's really calm. Yeah, I mean, they're not what I was expecting. They're much more kind of classic looking than I was expecting, to be fair. And then in turn, much more dampened, solid feel than I was expecting from this bracketed club. All in a good way. Like, for me, I would say it's better than I was expecting. So one of the big questions you often get in these reviews is who could game these? Well, I could game these. And they're certainly going to be aimed with their pricing bracket much more down towards someone maybe you just want, you know, a decent set of clubs without the crazy money. I haven't actually looked at the price now, but normally Cleveland is priced at a much more, let's say, welcoming level. And there's nothing in here that over my more expensive Strixon irons, so from the same company, that would make me think I couldn't use these over those. There's something in the looks that's different. So these are, you know, a different look to what I game. Mine are not as long in length and wider soled actually, but look even more classic when you look down, I would argue. But if none of this, you know, when you watch these videos, if none of that applies to you, you're not thinking, oh, I don't care about any of that. And he says, you know, what it feels like and sounds like, I don't care any of that. These are ticking every box. So a beginner could use them, down to a professional could use them. They're just good performing. So let's finish outside with the 4 iron before we go inside and look at the numbers. And before we do go and look at the numbers, what are you thinking? Really low spinner bombs? What do you reckon in the comments before we look at them? I reckon they'll be relatively sensible basically to the lofts. I can't see why they would be lower spinning than anything else set at this loft. So the 4 iron, again, it's the long blade, little bit of offset, very long blade. I think it's slightly ironic that there's a 4 iron in this set. I get why there is, but you know, if you are entry leveling it or you're getting like a basic set of clubs, maybe think of hybrids when you get to this kind of stage. I mean, I'm even trying to find a nice bit of grass there to tee it up on. Let's give the 4 iron a hit before we go and look at these numbers. I mean, the fact there's so much blade looking down by the ball is making me feel semi-happy. Yeah, again, it's the sound and feel. So the looks are slightly throwing me in the sense that I was expecting much more aggressive game improvement looks, so I think they look really nice. The sound and feel is the most impressive. They feel really good. Let's go and check these numbers out. Before we show you the numbers, before I hit one, have you guessed what you reckon the spin will be? It's a 29° 7 iron I'm going to hit, so I imagine this is going to be around 5 to 5,500 revs indoors, so outside it would be kind of 6 to 6,300, because this is basically the loft of what we used to think a 6 iron was. Well, what do you think? Lower spinning, higher spinning? What do you reckon? Let me hit a few and we will find out. Still, the standout surprising thing, let's just go before we look at these numbers, is the sound and feel. Honestly, if you test them, I don't care if you buy them, right? You buy what you need to buy. If you test these clubs, it's something you test, let me know if you do test them throughout the next year or so. What do you think of the feel? Did they surprise you? Because they are like good feeling. So ball speed 121, remember 7 iron, averaging hitting the line, but a little bit left and right dispersion. Carry 175 on average. Remember, this is a 29° 7 iron, so that's like, you know, 7.5, getting close to 6 iron numbers really, but it's got 7 in on the bottom. I'll be telling everyone I hit 7 iron, yes please. And the spin is 5,300, 200 revs, standard deviation on that. If I hit more, I reckon that would go up to maybe 400 revs standard deviation, but I reckon it's settled between 2 and 4, so around 300. So yeah, it's spinning like an indoor 6 iron. That's gonna be around 6,000 revs outside to 6.5. Really good numbers, launching at 19. Like, that just feels as good as anything. And as always, what this brand does and others out there in this price bracket is they ask the question, don't they? Like, why are we paying more? That just feels, sounds, yes, it's a little bit longer in blade length, but that's going for the MOI kind of properties maybe that it's going for as anything. And the numbers are relative to the loft on the club. Will I see the extra MOI that they say? Again, with any club, I don't think I will. I think I'll see it over a period of, you know, a season or more, and if I'll actually see it, would be hard to tell. Yeah. Surprisingly impressed with those. I was expecting something much more basic. We're actually getting a good feeling, decent looking game improvement iron. Post comments down below. What do you think of the price bracket? What do you think of the performance compared to other price brackets? And is it something you would ever consider testing or not? Remember, the best way to choose clubs is not go with who I'm sponsored by or who anyone is sponsored by, but the best way to go out there and buy your clubs is to go and test them and learn why the numbers you get out of any club, you get them. You can use those tests as a little bit of a lesson as well. Thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know in the comments down below what do you think. I am more impressed than I was expecting with that one.